Academy Pallikaranai, Class 7 Science, Biology, Chapter 10 Respiration in Organisms. This is part 1 of video. Happy day, children. This lesson, what are the topics to be covered? It is why do we respire, breathing, how do we breathe, what do we breathe out, breathing in other animals, cockroach, earthworm, breathing underwater, do plants also respire? Why do we respire? All the living organisms are made up of small microscopic units called the cells. These cells have different functions to perform in this organism, such as digestion, respiration, transportation, and excretion. The cells can perform this function only if they get the energy to do so. Hence, all living organisms need food which gives them the required energy. The energy present in the food gets released when the organisms respire or breathe. We respire to get energy from food. So when we respire, the food is broken down in the cells of our body with the help of oxygen and energy is released. Thus, respiration is a process by which food, glucose, is broken down in the cells of the body with the help of oxygen to release energy. Since respiration takes place in the cells of the body, it is called cellular respiration. Glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. What is cellular respiration? Cellular respiration can be defined as the process in which the food that we eat is broken down inside the cells, which results in the release of energy. All the cells in living organisms undergo cellular respiration. It takes place in the cell, inside a cell organelle called mitochondria. The oxygen that an organism breathes reacts with the carbohydrates, glucose, simpler units present in the food and results in the release of carbon dioxide, water and energy. Next is, what are the types of respiration? There are two types of respiration, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, presence of oxygen. So, a respiration in which the glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to release carbon dioxide, water and energy. It takes place in most organisms. Glucose in presence of oxygen, it gives out carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. And next is anaerobic respiration. It is a type of respiration in which glucose is broken down into absence of oxygen to release alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. It takes place in yeast and several bacteria. So glucose in absence of oxygen gives alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. So in anaerobic respiration, in our muscle cells, glucose is broken down in the absence of oxygen to release lactic acid and energy. If you see the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen as well as anaerobic respiration takes place in absence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration leads to a high release of amount of energy in living organisms, whereas anaerobic respiration results in a low amount of energy. Human beings and many other animals undergo aerobic respiration. Yeast and sometimes human beings undergo anaerobic respiration using vigorous exercises. Very little energy is produced in aerobic respiration. More energy is produced in anaerobic respiration. It occurs in most of the plants and animals, aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration occurs in yeast, some bacteria, etc. What are anaerobes? Organisms that can exist in the absence of air are called anaerobes. They undergo anaerobic respiration, hence can get energy without oxygen. For example, yeast. They are unicellular organisms that exist in the absence of oxygen. So, yeast, they can release ethanol and carbon dioxide during fermentation process. So, using this principle, this fermentation, yeast, is useful in the wine and beer industry. What is anaerobic respiration in human beings? This generally happens when we undergo a heavy, vigorous exercise like running, weightlifting, cycling, or walking for a long duration. So, in such situations, what happens? The muscles requires more energy, and the supply of oxygen is not enough. So, hence, anaerobic respiration takes place in muscles. So, due to that, a release of lactic acid produces. This lactic acid accumulates in the muscles and causes cramps, that is pain in the muscle. So in order to get relief from the muscle cramps, we take hot water bath or massage for our muscles. So as a result, the oxygen reaches the cells easily, which breaks on the lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water. Thank you, children.